All right, welcome back to another GR8 episode of the podcast. I'm really excited to be talking about the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl, I guess, outlook or prediction or something along those lines. But I just want to start with the conference championship games. Obviously, my Ravens played against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it just did not look good. We were in Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson, yet again, cannot beat those playoff fraud allegations. It's so odd that through all this time that Lamar Jackson still cannot beat those type of allegations. It's really weird. Our offense was so stagnant. It was so odd. We bailed on the running game when it was working with Gus Edwards, and then we just kept throwing it when obviously Lamar was off his game and nobody else could catch it. He didn't throw to Mark Andrews one time, and then Isaiah Likely one time or something along those lines, and then he threw to Zay Flowers, who was the only guy that wanted to win that game on the Baltimore Ravens side, and then also Kyle Hamilton. I think he's a cornerback, or he's at least in the secondary of the defense. Those are the only two guys that wanted to win this game. It's so weird. Roquan Smith, where was he? Patrick Queen, where was he? What's going on here? What's happening with our defense? Our defense got absolutely throttled. It was so odd in the first half of this game that we just let the Chiefs score whenever they wanted. We literally let them do whatever they wanted. If they wanted to score, they did. If they wanted to convert on a third or fourth down, they did. If Travis Kelce wants to make a diving catch, he did. It's just so odd to see the Ravens be so good in the regular season and be hyped up as the number one seed and the best team, and Lamar Jackson maybe is going to win MVP. And then we play our biggest competition and we lose. It's truly imaginable what happened. I don't understand the Ravens because something needs to happen, and it has needed to happen for a while. Is Lamar Jackson our guy? Is he? Is he our guy? Is Lamar Jackson the Baltimore Ravens guy? Because clearly he can get you to the playoffs, but he can't do anything after that. I don't understand. I don't get it. Let's move into the little small logistics of the game. Zay Flowers with the taunt. It is the NFL playoffs, and it is okay to taunt the other player. Do you want the other team? Do you want to know why? Because before the game, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes threw away Justin Tucker's kicking stand or whatever. And then obviously the Ravens, one of the Ravens players, were over in the Chiefs bench, and then they just ran up on him. What's going on here? Travis Kelce was literally pushing people after each play and after each down. And then as soon as we do something back, as soon as Zay Flowers gets a really big catch and then gets tackled by the defender, and he taunts the defender standing over him and spins the ball, boom, there you go. That's our fault. So it's really tough to just be like, all right, we can take every single last thing you can say, every single last word you ever wanted to say to us, the Chiefs to the Baltimore Ravens, and then we do something back and we immediately get penalized for it. Tell me how that works. Zay Flowers' drop in the end zone, the fumble in the end zone, that's not Zay Flowers' fault. I will never fault him for that, and I think the city of Baltimore will. I'm not exactly too sure. I don't know how people feel about that. But that was just a really good defensive play. The linebacker or whatever punched the ball right out of his hands, literally as he's passing the goal line, so he had no control over the ball. It was very interesting to see. Oh my goodness, how could Zay Flowers fumble that ball? Well, it's yeah, obviously he needed a little bit more ball security. But when a defender's punching that ball out of your hands midair, you can't really fault Zay Flowers for that. He's the only guy that made any amount of plays today. So he's a really great. He's a rookie, right? He's a really great rookie, really good wide receiver, and I'm excited to have him on future teams. The people that I'm not excited to have on future teams is Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong. I have a Funko Pop of him. I have a poster of him. I love Lamar Jackson, but at some point we need to have a real discussion and conversation about, is he the guy? There was a lot of talk before this season. Is the Baltimore Ravens going to pay him? Are they going to make sure that he gets paid? Or is he betting on himself? His only real agent is his mom. Like, what's going on with all that situation? And then obviously they get a deal done, and I can't remember what the deal is, but it's like a max contract. He's getting like tons of money. And then we go through this whole entire season of like, yeah, they paid him, and it makes sense, and it makes sense, and it makes sense. And then finally we get to the playoffs, and boom, he louses it up again. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. How, like, did the lights just get too bright? Like, he could have ran so many more times than he did. He could have showed off his athletic ability a little bit more times. He sat in the pocket for way too long. He needed to get that ball out. He took tons of sacks. I don't even know how many actual sacks he took, but he took tons of sacks. Or like, he would try to run and his decision making in that game was so discombobulated and so odd. I think he was not prepared to throw the ball as much as possible. I think he was trying to rely on the run game a little bit more, but I don't know what the offensive coordinator was thinking. I don't know what John Harbaugh was thinking, or Jim Harbaugh, or whatever. It's John, right? They look the exact same. John, that's the next guy I want to talk to about. Are we sure that he's our head coach? Are we sure? Are we sure? Is that our guy? Is that our guy? He's been the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens for years now. And at some point, you're like, okay, like, you know, he's never won a Super Bowl with us. Is he going to get us to a place where we can be like, okay? Like, I don't really understand with John Harbaugh. The Baltimore Ravens fan base praise him as a god. And I'm sitting around thinking, this dude hasn't done anything for us. He's gotten to a conference championship game, hasn't got to a Super Bowl, hasn't got us a Super Bowl ring, hasn't helped us out. I think Lamar's. I guess I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I think Lamar's holding back eras in the playoffs. That's the only way I can like describe it. It feels like directly from John Harbaugh. I don't understand what they told Lamar before this game, but it was clearly not to win. It was clearly not to win. And I think that's on the coaching staff, and I think that really needs to be corrected. The next thing I want to go into was obviously the Lions 49ers game. The 49ers are obviously the most talented roster in the NFL. There's no ifs and buts about it. They're clearly the best. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be completely transparent. I only watched the second half of this game. But what I did see was Dan Campbell's decision to go for it and try to score instead of taking the field goal, when they could have taken the field goal and be up by 3 scores instead of just 2 if they don't get it or whatever, and then a drop ball. The people that are criticizing that clearly have not been watching Lions games all season, clearly have not seen the Lions play or Dan Campbell coach his team. I think Dan Campbell might be a better coach than John Harbaugh at this point, because he actually believes in his team. He makes really, really big swings. And honestly, at some point, you got to respect it. It's the city of Detroit, hard-nosed, really tough, blue-collar. Of course, they're going to make the hard decisions to say, all right, we're going to go for it. All right, we're going to try to get this first down. All right, we're going to try to score here, instead of just taking the measly field goal. Sure, it probably makes sense on a probability and statistical chance, I guess, to take the field goal and then you're up by 3 scores and it doesn't swing the game in the 49ers way. And then the 49ers just way too talented a roster on both sides of the ball. To be able to withstand that, I just don't think Jared Goff and the rest of the Detroit Lions were able to handle all that. But I think that's what people are gonna like harp on Dan Campbell for, was going for that, and I honestly think that he should have, because that just fits right in the spot of where he coaches. He coaches hard-nosed, tough. We're going to grind it out. We're going to get this first down. It doesn't matter. Situational awareness may be a little bit of a factor in it. But at some point, you don't give up on what got you this far, right? He's been coaching this way all season. He's been going for it on 4th downs all season. He's been going for the touchdown, not just the field goal, all season. Why stop now? Why stop now? Why stop on the game plan that's got you this far? So I really enjoyed Dan Campbell, and I enjoyed him coaching. Obviously, we got the 49ers and Chiefs Super Bowl. I'm sort of excited for it. I'm really not too sure. I truly think it's the two best teams in the NFL. Because obviously the Baltimore Ravens are obviously not one of the best team, definitely not the best team. That I'm glad the Miami Dolphins are not in. I'm glad the Cowboys are not in. I think all of them are frauds. I'm glad that the two legitimately best teams in the NFL are playing against each other. I think the team with the most talented, I guess the word is IQ, with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, versus Kyle Shanahan and his great offense with Brock Purdy maybe trying to, I guess, prove something, and then the rest of his talented roster on the offensive defensive line. It's going to be truly an epic game because so many factors are going into this. I think it means a lot for both of these teams. I think it means a lot for Patrick Mahomes' legacy, I guess. And it means a lot for Brock Purdy being the last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, going against the best quarterback of the modern era of the NFL. So I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I'm really pissed off that the Baltimore Ravens are not in. But after the first drive, after going 3 and out to start the game at home, when you're the favorite, when you have the best player in the league, the MVP, and you go 3 and out to start the game, and then the ball, and then turnover on downs or whatever it is, Chiefs get the ball, and then immediately just march up the entire field, wasting like 7 minutes of the entire first quarter and scoring. It's like, yeah, okay, we already lost. So thank you guys so much for listening, watching, having fun with me talking about the NFL playoffs. I know I haven't done a lot of NFL weeklies recently, mostly because I just feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it's been fun to give my take on the AFC and NFC championship games and then Super Bowl preview. And I'm sure I'm going to do another podcast episode for the Super Bowl after everything is said and done. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, having fun with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video or podcast episode. See ya.